going to do is we're going to find out really what all of you really want from the day. And we're going to pull that out in some kind of different ways. And then revisit it at the end to kind of like really make sure, because I can really work with people on a person-by-person basis, so that you'll also be delighted to hear that after about 11 o'clock, this whole program is going to be improvised around your needs. And so, like, we'll find out how that, you know, how that works for us. One of the reasons I wanted to do it is because, obviously, again, those of you that know me know that I've done a lot of stuff on public speaking, a lot of stuff on effective communication. NLP creates and provides like the most important toolkit, the most kind of all places, because you can model with NLP. You can literally just step into the shoes of effective speakers, you know, kind of sense things, model what they do, all of those kinds of things. And so NLP is the full package in terms of taking your personal confidence, influence, expressiveness, creativity, you know, spontaneity, blah, blah, into some kind of next stage, next level for you, in whatever context that you have selected for yourselves. So the program, we're going to use some of the key tools of NLP, blah, 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 which is like the as-if frame, particularly, of course, is one of our key tools. The as-if frame is the frame where you go, imagine it's already like this, you know. Imagine X or Y is already happening. What's that going to be like? It's like the fake it till you make it kind of approach. But it also does something. It stimulates the nervous system, associations, kind of the way, belief change, all kinds of things, in order to optimize already and set the kind of pathway for a change like that. So taking people into an imaginative, either parallel universe in the present, in the past, or in the future, allows something really magical to happen. And that's always been really core to NLP and to our practice, to use that, you know, goddess-given ability that human beings have, which of course animals don't really have. They've got it, some of it, to a very, very limited degree. But for human beings, we're able to fully, expansively imagine new realities. And part of what I want to do today is strengthen those sort of muscles and pathways for you to be able to use your imagination to step outside any particular sense of a limited normal world where only X, Y, and Z can happen, and somehow move into new worlds and new experiences and new kind of sensibility about what's possible, the potential of the world, etc., etc. So I want to do that. I also want to take. I also want to fluff aside and go really hairy on. I forgot what I was going to say though. On the whole idea of pacing and leading. I don't know. So one of the people that NLP modelled was this wonderful guy, Milton Erickson, who is the foremost clinical hypnotherapist, visionary developer of the idea of working with unconscious and bringing conscious and unconscious into alignment. The body and the mind, the left brain, the right brain, however you want to think of that, but to bring that relationship nearer. And the thing, in fact, that Erickson said was people's only problem is that they're out of rapport with their unconscious minds. That is the issue. Once you've got that going, then everything else can fall out from there. The kind of expansion of the wisdom of that alignment and relationship has its own emergent properties reality, if you like, there's something, you know, fundamentally transformational about that being able to happen. So that's one of the things, is like, how can we bring a kind of alignment and a congruence and being in the present and working with what's happening. He used pacing and leading a lot. And one of the things I want to do is use this very deep idea of acknowledging what is actually happening and then being able to use it. And I think that's one of the speaker's great arts. It's one of the coach's great arts. It's one of the managers, if you're running a meeting, you know, being able to acknowledge where people are in a felt way, not just in a cognitive way, but in some more somatic, more often kind of tender, real connection that you can make in the living moment with people. And start from where we all are. Start from where you are yourself, start from where other people are. And so I think this idea of pacing and leading and deeply and fundamentally acknowledging other people's realities as a prior commitment, however you might do it, in order to create a dynamic and a movement in the system is going to be one of our prerequisites. So that's, and I want us to play. You know, play is the foundation, I think, of emotional intelligence and being a mammal, you know, and being able to spark and seed, you know, new kinds of ideas and approaches to things. It's like, and so I don't really know what can happen today. You know, here we are. Let's see what we can make happen. I really have no, as I say, I have no real fixed plans past about 11 o'clock. So we'll find out. And I hope, obviously, I've got a lot of things in mind. But I hope to also be, you know, guided and attuned sufficiently to you to be able to pull out the right kinds of things at the right kind of stage of the day. And so in that way, you know, today will also be an example of, you know, doing that. And I think what's really important on days like today, and it did make me think, you know, when I realized that we weren't getting our normal numbers for the day, I wonder if people get scared. I wonder if people think they're going to be put on the spot. I wonder if people think, you know, it's going to be like, oh, now you've got to come up with an improv, really, you know, be really clever, and everyone's going to realize you're an idiot, you know. What can I say about being an idiot?
What is there to say?
What more is there to say? I mean, it's easy to say, well, it doesn't matter, but actually it kind of, you know, we can go, well, actually, that it does matter. I don't really want to mess up like a big speech, or I don't really want to mess up a really important connection to a client, or a really important interview, or whatever the purposes are, a really important piece of training. I don't want to mess it up. I feel the same as that. I really want to do a good job. I want to kind of deliver value, all those things that we say. And so here's this issue then, especially with performance type issues, is like, what's really stopping me sometimes going a little bit further, or doing something new, or showing more of myself and being more expressive. In that sense, potentially I'm more exposed. Hello, just talking about how I'm more exposed. And so I've got some ways that we might work with that, but who knows? You know, I probably can promise you, really. I had actually had this idea, which I thought was a great idea, and then, I don't know, I sort of thought, maybe that's a bit, you know. I was going to give everybody, you know, like a sort of get out of jail free card. It's going to become a big stack of cards that all say, I actually meant to make an idiot of myself just then. And everyone could play them all day. And it's a bit like a sort of get out of jail free, you know, sort of game that we could play. Or we can have another set that goes, I felt the fear and I did it anyway, you know. And after each person plays a card, you know, everybody congratulates them. But I thought that might take all day in and of itself. But it's quite an interesting idea, isn't it? Just to go, yeah, I mean, that's the thing about taking risks. You know, risk is a risk, you know, there's a downside. People think you're an idiot. You do the wrong thing. You kind of, you know, I speak as someone who, in a very unfortunate moment, was in a small theatre company that did get slow hand clapped off the stage. If I can live through that. It was, you know, anyway, I won't say why. It wasn't actually my doing, but it was, I take shared responsibility for what happened. It was awful, yes. It was that awful. But the thing is that is life. And the big kind of model that we have from an NLP point of view, certainly a model that comes out a lot when you're talking about public speaking, when you're talking about effective communication, is what in NLP we call the tote model, which is the tote model. Oh, do you need,
No, I'm fine.
Are you all right?
It's just
Yes.
I missed that word.
Yeah, do always say if you miss things. And it stands for test, operate, test, exit. I don't know whether you remember, because it's quite a while since you did your NLP, I remember. I actually taught Peter NLP in the bottom of my garden about 20-something years ago.
Very nice garden it was.
And it was a very nice day, actually, wasn't it? We had a great time, which is fairly unusual, obviously. Blah, 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 take risks, it's all, you know, if you take a risk, it's a risk, you know. Hopefully today we'll make a little private, secret commitment to each other that all is forgiven. And that there's a framework about trying things. And I don't know whether we could, you know, we can work at that, kind of go, well, I tried, you know, we can have like a little signal that goes, I tried, I totally kind of, you know, disrespected you and the course and made everyone hate me, but, you know, I tried, and we'll all hug you again. And I hope you'll do the same for me. So I feel pretty cheerful about, I think it's good, we're going to have a great day. You know, who knows what can happen. As I say, with spontaneity, you can't plan it in quite the same way. So, but what I did want to do, as I say, is to start the day, at least, with a very basic and fundamental framework that we'll come to, which is based on, this is my dancing partner, which is based on the tote model, which is the idea that you have a goal and you have kind of evidences. And in order to reach your goal, you try out lots of different kinds of things that may or may not work. So in other words, the NLP model isn't that you learn a procedure and with other human beings that always works. It's that you have a goal in mind, get skillful, learn and practice stuff, and then more or less try it out with successive approximations to perfection with people. And so the world of feedback and incoming information that you can pattern and process appropriately is going to be really, really key. And in fact, I remember when I've done special days just purely on effective communication, the big light bulb moment for people has been this idea, oh, you mean I have the goal, and then I vary my behaviour. Oh, I hadn't got that. You know, it's like we all sort of, what we want is if I tell you enough times in the way, using my words and in the way that I want to, you'll get it. And we're always utterly flabbergasted when that doesn't always 100% work. And that actually there's more to this kind of, you know, influencing, mutual, generative creativity kind of, you know, exchange with people than that. You know, we're constantly sending messages, meta messages, to and fro, making meanings, processing, patterning, responding consciously and unconsciously. There's such a lot going on. So the big model is to go, what is it that I'm trying to achieve here? How will I know when I've got it? What is going to be there? What's it going to look like? What's it going to feel like? Who will I be when that's happening? And then to go, how will I get it? In fact, the model is very much like a sort of sat-nav. The model is, there is a present state, there is a desired state. So there's your home address, and then there's, Heathrow Airport, or whatever, and that's what the sat-nav does. The sat-nav creates a series of routes. And so what we have in NLP is this idea that there's a kind of, having those two pieces starts already to create a pathway. That's what's magical about it. And then you bring in what we call resources, and you deal with what we call interferences along the way. So, roadworks, never mind, there's another train, there's kind of all kinds of different things in this analogy. So, I thought what we'd do, as I say, is we'd start with this model. And let's find out why everyone's here, because we can do that. We're such a lovely, intimate group. We can really find out why everybody's here, and we can work very, very personally with everybody, as well as make noise and generally roll around on the floor and do things. We've got these, which we'll use. I had actually bought some half ones, but they haven't arrived in case anyone got claustrophobic with the full one, but we can hack them into any shape that we need, basically. Okay, so the first thing is just to put your books down and put the chairs back. Yes, it's starting. This is it.